Yo, what is up? DPS Podcast episode 177 with the homie Slow-Mo Backslap. It's going to be a great show. Sorry for the delay. Was trying to get this new thing up and running where we multi-streamed it to Twitch and here, or X if you call it, but the stream was acting kind of funky on X, so I had to pivot on that one, and we're going to look into doing that probably for the next episode or something once we figure out exactly how we need to do it. But once again, appreciate everybody that came through. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to just gaming in general, and shout out to the homie Slow-Mo Backslap. And what you been up to, man? How you been?
Pretty busy. It's been pretty busy week for work. But outside of that, I've been pretty good. You know, I've just been kind of, being the slow mo Stradamus that I am. Maybe I might need to change the name in Discord to that, because oh man, today has definitely
One of those
proven
days,
that out. Oh no, it's proven that out. Not saying that everything I say goes or anything like that. I ain't got that kind of ego or nothing, but all I'm saying is that simply the things that we've seen today, coming from really almost every single topic that we're going to talk about today, are things that we on this show discussed multiple times, and I can say me specifically, I kind of said it was going to happen, so can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, it's definitely been one of those scenarios and one of those weeks, and just a lot of discourse depending on what side of the aisle you live on. You got Embracer, the Embracer doing the big split. We're gonna do a story on that. Then we have the end of Watch Dogs is possibly here. Do some stuff that came out from Ubisoft. BlizzCon 2024 has been canceled, and I'm actually kind of sad about that one, but yeah, we'll get to that.
Let me ask you something, Forte. The main character in the game that is the final topic right here, what do you think her name is?
I don't know. What is her name?
Do you think it's Steller?
No.
So why you got Stellar Blade in the title and in the topic?
Yeah, because Stellar Blade is the game.
It's Stellar Blade.
Oh, okay, sure. Stellar Blade.
I was like, you still said it with no R, which is hilarious.
I was just saying Stellar Blade. That's what I was thinking. That's probably what I was thinking when I said it. You know what? Her name could be Stella, though. Is it Stella? I don't know.
No, it's Eve. It's Eve.
Oh yeah, because it was called Project Eve before it was called Stella. Well, guess what? Her name is Stella today.
No, it's not. Her name is Eve. The game is, there's no Stella anywhere. There's no character named Stella. There's no game called Stella.
It wasn't it like what was one of the names of one of those amazing sitcoms? I can't remember that. Wasn't like a Stella named in one of those? I can't remember what, like Good Times or something. I don't know.
Good Times?
No, it wasn't Good Times. I'm just saying Good Times. I know it wasn't Good Times.
You know what? Let me tell you about. Let's talk about a game I played.
Yes, please, yes. Continue. Tell us about the game you've been playing, Slow-Mo. What have you been doing?
I played No Rest for the Wicked. No Rest for the Wicked. Moon Studios' new game that's in early access.
Okay.
And I played it, and I don't feel like playing that in today. It's much further along than where it currently is right now. Now y'all know I got a beast PC, right? This game was dropping into the 60 frames on my PC. I know there's gonna be some console guy going, that's a problem. It's when you have a 4080 Super, it's just, that's egregious, especially for the kind of game that it is.
Yeah.
It's not. It shouldn't be that demanding. Right. It's just really a super unoptimized game. That said, it's got a lot of Souls like elements to it. I do think that the parry system is pretty bad. which is it's kind of expected from this being Moon's first attempt at this kind of game, coming from the Ori games, that they would need some adjusting and some optimizing and some working on that. But it's okay. I played it a little. I did a stream for it on when I played lunchtime with Slow Mo, and it was all right. It's enjoyable. I had a good time. I think the people who watched the stream had a good time. As Gregor in the chat said, I would say no rest for the wicked played Slow Mo. He's talking about a particular part where
it's that bad.
I kept dying to this guy. So there's this little area, right? There's a chest. There's all this stuff over a broken bridge, and there's this dude with a spear on the other, or an axe, or whatever the heck he had, and he's just waiting for you to jump over there. And I'm just like, and I don't like to take a L, so I jumped over there. I'm washing everybody I ran up against. Guy killed me. And I was like, oh, well, let me just go back up there, get a little revenge and go ahead and grab all this loot. And then I jumped over there and the dude straight 300 Spartan kicked me off the bridge into the broken hole of the bridge. And now my pride is involved. And so I'm like, nope, let me swim, because now I'm not dying from that. I'm falling into this water that's under it. So I'm like, let me swim back to the shore, take the path back up, go see this dude again. 3 more times I failed to kill him before I said, you know what? I don't think my pride can take anymore. I think I'm just going to leave. And so I left him alone. I went on and did other things. And look, the game looks beautiful. It's got very, very good art. The cutscenes are very well done. The story seems very dark and mysterious. And I mean, I really wasn't paying that much attention to it, to be frank. But I think there's a lot of work to be done in the game. I don't like the weapon and gear degradation that happens. I think there's some balancing that needs to happen for the most part, because it's just your only way of healing is basically to cook like food and use that as like your post. So like, for example, right, let's say we're playing Elden Ring, okay, and you die.
Of Zelda.
In some ways, yes. It's a mix of Zelda and a Souls game, but like it's got some things that just like, nah, I don't like the combination of these things. And so, for example, let's say in Elden Ring you die and you go back to the Grace. When you come back to life, you have everything is off a cooldown. You have your potions or whatever are restocked. The potions for your health, the potion for your mana restocked, right? You're all set to go. And no rest for the wicked, you die. You go back to I forgot what they call it, but it's essentially the same thing, like a grace or a campfire, a campsite. Your only way of healing yourself is these like consumables that you have to go to a campfire, not the campsite that you respawn to cook. And you gotta know the recipes to cook them. So you're gathering materials, like you're killing crabs and stuff in the first area, and you still can't use those crabs to actually make healing items with, because you don't have the recipe yet. You gotta get the recipe. It's like there's way too much involved just to get healing items. And so they're like little things like that I'm just a little like, I feel like eventually they'll come around to realizing that was a bad decision and fixing that. But until they do, what I'm going to do is just not play it. and I know they've already done a couple of patches now. Actually, I think maybe 5 patches so far as optimizing the game to make it more performant on lower end PCs. And that would not have been possible if this early access was on PlayStation and Xbox, because you got to go through that whole certification process in order to get it out, a new update out or a patch out. And when you're just on Steam, you can they're very free and open to allow you to patch the game as often as you like. But I will come back to it when it is a game that's a bit further along when it comes to the development and stuff. So I was playing that, as I said, and been playing a little bit more Zenless Zone Enders. Wait, I get that name wrong all the time. Zenless Zone Zero. Been playing a little bit more of that, not too much more. But I think this week I played some Real Company. I actually went live on Twitch with that. This week I will do over the next week, I'm gonna do my best to finish Dragon's Dogma 2 so I can just be done with it. I really don't feel like playing the game, but I will be live streaming a couple of things. I'm going to live stream my first time playing the Hades 2 technical test. So I'm going to live stream Hades 2, and I'm going to be playing Fallout 4 for the first time, and I'm going to live stream that too. So look out for those things. But other than that, I mean, I've just been chilling, man.
Yeah, that's real good. I mean, I think everybody's trying to find that game or that thing that can kind of, entice them to keep on, 'cause it's like right now we're in that dead period. Yeah, we got a couple of games that just released, like Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade comes out tomorrow, I believe. Then we got
Looking forward to that.
yeah, we got that
That
tomorrow.
was also what we'll be talking about.
And then we got just under a month, we got Hellblade releasing on May 21st, which is, I didn't realize that's a day after my birthday. I was like, oh, happy birthday to me. But yeah, so I've been doing pretty much the same. The one thing I was going to call you and tell you this, Slow-Mo, but I was like, I'll just wait for the show to do it. So I have fallen back in. You already know where I fall into.
Oh my God.
So I've done that.
We don't have to talk about this.
No. I'm not going to talk about it. It's nothing to talk about. I already know it bores you to death, so I'm not going to subject you to that. I'm just saying I jumped back into that and started doing a lot of the stuff that I hadn't done in the last 5 to 6 months, and it's very refreshing. And I forget how great that game is, and so definitely jump back into that and having a lot of fun with that. Can't wait for Hellblade to release. That's another thing that's on my list. I did start going through because with Pokemon Go, there's a lot of tie-ins to the actual Pokemon games on the Switch. So it's kind of enticed me to go through like Sun and Moon and go through all those games again, to like kind of unlock stuff that I could transfer over to the actual Pokemon Go game. So it's kind of crazy how I just went down this rabbit hole of just playing a lot of Pokemon games at this point. But at this point, it's like really nothing else to do. I talked about this during Braff the last time I was on there. I haven't really turned my Switch on in a while. This is kind of the first time I've done it, just to do some of this porting stuff to, play the game and get some of the, moving stuff from one game to another game. That's been really, really cool. But outside of that, man, I've been doing, it's that time of year, getting the green thumb out, working in the yard, had to prune some branches and tend to the yard. And my daughter is doing a track. She had her first, they had a practice meet yesterday. I think I posted a picture of it on Twitter. But we was at a practice meet yesterday between her school and a rival school. And today they got their official uniforms. And I believe it's next Wednesday is their very first actual meet versus like it counts against another school. So It was real funny. I have a video on my phone of my wife saying, you know, go Peyton, go Peyton. Then this random woman was like, go Peyton, go Peyton. She's like, which one's Peyton? She said, the one with the braids. She was like, I was like, oh my God. It's like just random. Like all you hear is just random woman saying, calling my daughter's name, telling her to go faster, go faster. I'm like, oh my God, this is so funny. So, yeah, it's cool. It's cool when you can just get out and, you know, it was cold. Man, it was blistering cold yesterday. I was like, why is it so cold out here? And I mean, it wasn't like cold to the point like winter cold, but it was like 60 degrees, 60, 65 degrees. But
windy?
It was windy.
Yeah, when that wind chill hits you, you realize I should have brought my jacket. You know,
well, that's what I said. I brought my hoodie. I had my hoodie on. And I had to like take my hands, put it inside my hoodie, put my hands inside my inner shirt and stuff, because it was like cold as heck out there. I was like, man, I don't know how we doing this. But then I'm out here looking at some of these kids. They got like the real short, they got like the shorts on, you know, the track, you know, the stuff they wear in track and stuff. And I'm like, y'all should be cold as heck, but they out there trucking. But I guess because they're moving the whole time.
When you're moving around, you got that, you get your blood flowing. You're like, look, I used to, when I played football, I barely wore, you know, we used to see dudes wearing long sleeves and stuff.
Let's go. He went to the Vikings. Let's go. I don't know how I feel about that, but okay.
Anyway,
only because it's in the wrong division.
Anyway, I'm not going to talk about the draft. We'll be talking about the draft all night, man.
Congratulations, JJ McCarthy, national champion of the Michigan Wolverines.
He will never hear this. So we're going to move on. Congratulating somebody ain't never going to hear this.
Listen, the fact that I...
No, not listen. I don't care.
I said it.
I don't care. No one cares about JJ McCarthy. Anyway, I even forgot what I was saying.
Good.
See, this is what I'm talking about. They freaking interrupted me over some non-throwing JJ McCarthy. Anyway, back on topic. Whatever the heck we were talking about. Man, what were we talking about? Good grief. Damn you, Forte. All right, anyway, let's move on.
You literally forgot what we were talking about?
Yeah. Let's just get into this. Let's get into Embracer.
Yeah, let's
embrace these topics.
Yeah, so let's talk about Embracer, Brooke. So Embracer, oh man, so Embracer is breaking up into three separate entities. I have the list of the names here because it was I was like
the dumbest names of companies I've ever seen.
What are the names of these? I was like, what are the names of these? So it's like when they had their notes of we're going to separate these guys into three companies. Right. So
and then like somebody was like, okay, three companies. What are these companies' names? Oh, we ain't got names yet. We just like Middle Earth and Friends. You know, because it's more studios there than Coffee Stain and Friends, and it's just like it's like a placeholder that ended up being the real name. Which is ridiculous.
So one of them is called Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends, which includes Crystal Dynamics, Dembuster Studios, Idols Montreal, Flying Wild Hog Studios, Tripwire, Vertigo Games, Warhorse Studios. IPs are Dead Island, Killing Floor, Kingdom Come Deliverance, The Lord of the Rings, Metro, and Tomb Raider, among many others. The group will include Paleon, Free Mode, Dark Horse, and other businesses. That is their AAA studio.
Is
their AAA studio. And then we have Coffee Stain and Friends.
Publisher or whatever company. Yeah.
Then we have the second one, which is called Coffee Stain and Friends, which also has Coffee Stain in it, which makes me feel like, is this like your lead developer for this?
Is that a game? That's a game. Know. I ain't never heard no Coffee Stain. I mean, like when I see a Coffee Stain, I'm upset. I mean,
exactly. It says Coffee Stain and Friends, and it's Coffee Stain, Ghost Ship, Tarsi, and what is this? Tuxedo Labs, THQ Nordic, Amplified Games Invest. They get Deep Rock Galactic, Goat Simulator, Satisfactory Wreckfest Teardown,
So
Valheim.
that's the indie.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
the indie
indie
one. Yeah, and
company
then
because Goat Simulator is definitely indie. Deep Rock Galactic. Like I know some of those games, like Deep Rock Galactic. I played that before. Go Simulator. I'm never touching it, but I know what it is.
and then the last one is I don't
Yeah.
have the list of the game, but it's Osmo. What is it? Asmodee group. And I don't know. They don't have the stuff listed for what's under that one. But as soon as I read this, I was like, okay, they do have this. So they say a global leading tabletop game publisher and distributor with extensive studio network and IP catalog. Okay, so they're their own entity, but they're basically tabletop games and stuff like that, where the other ones are kind of diverse. Like you said, Middle Earth is their AAA, and then Coffee State is like their indie branch of it. I mean, which is interesting, but why the names though?
I think the names suck, much like how the company makes decisions. They're not very good at it. I will say that this my issues with the way Embracer has done business has been, I mean, like we talked about this multiple times, but I think what it really comes down to is you can change the name, you can split things up, but who's making the decisions here?
Right.
Because like if you have the same decision makers, and I know it's not just on the CEO Lars, but like who is Lars involved with all of these companies? Is he involved with one of them, or some of the other people who were in leadership involved with these other companies? Unless you have new leadership, having new names and breaking them and changing the structure of the organization doesn't really amount to anything. I don't. That doesn't mean that you're going to be wiser in your investments. It doesn't mean that you're going to make better managerial decisions with these developers. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't change anything as far as I'm concerned. And I know there are a lot of people that feel when it comes to Middle Earth Enterprises that they're a lot of people, I think a lot of times when it comes to acquisitions, they always only look at how this benefits the side they want to make the acquisitions.
Right.
They don't, as if you could just poach them. Like this is imperialism. Like you just show up in the country and just take over and take what you want and leave. It's not like that. Like in business, the other side has to agree. And simply just because these companies have some of these companies that make acquisitions have a ton of money doesn't mean that they're guaranteed to be able to just get what they want, because in the grand scheme of things, if you go to Middle Earth Enterprises and you take CD Projekt Red, sorry, I said CD Projekt Red, good grief, Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, their best IPs, you take, what are you leaving them with? How are they supposed to do business after that?
Mm-hmm.
And if your mentality is, why do I care about that? Well, that's the problem, because you're saying they should do X, Y, Z, and you think this will happen when you don't think about how that actually translates to the people who are selling.
Right.
I feel like the only way that someone acquires these developers when it comes to, and the talent and the IP when it comes to Middle Earth Enterprises, is that they buy the whole thing, buy all of it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. I mean, that's all. I just kind of feel like this is something that people tend to overlook when it all comes down to it. And
I just think
Embracer's not going to change as far as I'm concerned. Go ahead.
No, and I think that's kind of the tale of the tale right there, or the tale of the story right there. Is I think Embracer was able to capitalize on a really good deal when Square was trying to downsize and make themselves look more appealing for acquisition. So they didn't see any value. So Square didn't see any value in those franchises no more. So they were willing to get rid of them as soon as possible on the cheap. And of course, Embracer was like, "Well, shoot, let's jump on it." I mean, you can't knock 200. What was it, $200,000 or two? Was it what was it two something?
Like 300 million. They sold
200
like
million.
50 IP.
Yeah,
in 3 studios for $300 million.
300 million. Yeah, which is steal.
This is still, yeah.
Yeah, it was a steal. So it was like they had to jump at the opportunity to do it, but it's like the complete opposite of what is the other big it's Embracer. Who is the other one? I can't think of their name right now.
Coffee Stain? Wait, you no.
No, not I'm talking about the other investor. The other big one.
Tencent?
Tencent, that's it. Because Tencent, buys up stuff, but they buy up stuff just to have stake in it. They really don't interfere that much when it comes to like the overall development or just cost. They just want to reap the benefits of owning a lot of stuff.
Right.
Where Embracer is like, they kind of make decisions on this type of stuff, and it doesn't work out too well because they didn't, first of all, they didn't purchase it with that in mind. They purchased it because they were good deals, not because they actually had good ideas or a good good starting point for where they wanted to go with these franchises or with these developers and studios. So, especially since it's funny watching a lot of people over the course of the last 3 to 6 months talk about how they believed that gaming was in such an upswing in 2020 and 2021 that it was going to be sustainable. Because I was sitting there back in 2020, it's like, y'all do realize that this ain't gonna last like this. Like, yeah, it's nice to see that people that haven't played games in probably 10 to 15 years because life took over and their careers and stuff took over, and it was like a stopgap for them. But now the fact that they have so much time on their hands, they're coming back to the thing that for the amount of money you put in it, it gives you way more entertainment than anything else. You could put $1,000 in on a console and a bunch of games, and over the course of 1 year, you're going to get more value out of that $1,000 than you're going to get out of anything else when it comes to like an entertainment medium. Everything else is kind of singular. I mean, movies are kind of up there, but it's like, how many times can you see the same story over and over again? Where games, there's so many different types of games and so many different interactions you can have with those games when it comes to a static interaction, when it comes to like certain games like Telltale games and story-driven games where the story is kind of baked in already. So once you beat it one time, there may be 1 or 2 other times you can go through it. But then you have, multiplayer and games as a service where that type of game is consistently changing all the time. It may have the same formula, but it changes day to day. I just think that a lot of people thought that we were going to see this huge boom continue and gaming keep growing at an exponential rate. And that hasn't happened. And that's what people are starting to talk about now over the course of the last couple of months. And that's where these studios and these investors are coming in. They're like, yeah, we made a lot of bets that we can't live up to, and guess what? The people that are being hurt by this are the studio heads, the developers, the people that work in financing at the smaller parts of the companies and stuff. But the people that made the decisions to do the things that they did, they got cushy jobs and they're going to be all right. So I just see Embracer going further and further, in the opposite direction that they want to. They're going to divest a whole bunch of this is just one step. And anytime you start seeing a company saying we're going to separate and move entities into other places, sometimes it works out for you. I mean, this happened with Sony. Sony did the same thing where they started, splitting stuff up and canceling and closing down and getting rid of certain mediums, like they did it with their PC line. And they were able to like sustain because they kept the main thing, and they said, hey, TVs, cameras, and PlayStation is and accessories and stuff like that is where we need to live at. And they kind of capitalized off that. I'm really interested to see what Embracer does next because a lot of the stuff they own, I really don't see when the next big thing is coming from them. Like they own a lot of stuff, but when's the next big thing that's going to entice people? Maybe not to the next generation.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that, man. Yeah, and also it's just I kind of said this a little while ago, but I anticipate in a couple years like no one's talking about Embracer. Like
No.
I said that before, and it's even really kind of showing that now, considering that Embracer now has split into 3 different companies. But like I would even say that no one is even really going to be talking about these 3 companies, just because the people, as I said earlier, you can change your name, but if you didn't change the people that's running the company, so what?
Right.
A name change isn't a change in philosophy, and ain't change in business tactics, or how some of these rich CEOs will sit up there and say, "Hey, I guess I made a lot of bad decisions,"
Right.
and it's just like you're still employed, you're still CEO after admitting you made a lot of bad decisions that resulted in the laying off of over 1,000 of your workers. Like they paid for your bad decisions,
Mm-hmm.
and yet you're still employed. So what do I expect in the future? More bad decisions.
More bad
So
decisions.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a very interesting take, but very, very true. But with that, let's move over to the next topic and let's talk about Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs has had a very, very interesting, tumultuous, just lifespan. It started out as a game that everybody saw day one. It was like, this looks incredible, all the way down to, it's one of the very first games where when he went into cover, when he was shooting in the street, he would walk by a car and shut the door because the door was open, and everybody was like, "Yo, did you see the door shut?" There was like a lot of tech that was built into that
I think
game.
you're getting Watch Dogs confused with the Division.
No, the Division did that. No, the Division did it too. But in the very first Watchdog trailer, um, when they were in that gunfight, he did walk by the door and close the door.
I don't remember that. My biggest takeaway from that initial trailer was how he was like in a club,
Oh no,
and
wait,
he
that's the one
was
where he threw the thing in the middle of the wasn't it like a thing he threw in the middle of the street? It has been a long time since I've seen that trailer, if I remember it correctly.
yeah, I think you're confusing. I think what you're getting them confused because they were both trailers that showed things that did not end up in the final release. Now, the
In the
closing
final
of
release.
doors what ended up eventually coming into the Division.
Right.
But like when you pull out the map and it does like this 3D alter like
Yeah.
uh,
Yep.
adapted reality view of the map showing up, all like the way that looked cool, even that's still not in any Division game.
No, that's still not in the Division game.
There are things that they show, the drone in the Division where you was supposed to have a player actually using the drone, and they could be on mobile doing that. It's just like, why would you show things like that you had like no actual working like prototypes of anything close to that actually coming to fruition? But Watch Dogs was like that too. There were things they showed and the visual fidelity of things, which today doesn't look that impressive, but back then it was next level. And for the game to come out and to really not look like that at all, and then I remember playing it and being like, "Yo, did they at all play test some of these driving mechanics? Like the car drove." Oh, it was awful. It was a huge disappointment overall.
Hmm. Wait a
But then
minute. Go ahead.
hmm?
No, go
I think
ahead.
I think, and I kind of mentioned this when I did last time with slow mo when it comes to how people get sales confused sometimes. And the reason why I bring that up is that like you'll look at like say Watch Dogs 1, which it got a lot of hype. It was like the game of the show at E3 when they first showed it. And everybody was like, I can't wait to play this game. And then came out and it was a massive disappointment. But a lot of people still bought the game. And so Ubisoft greenlit a sequel to Watch Dogs almost immediately based off of like the record-breaking sales they had of it, even though it was critically panned and a lot of people didn't care for it. And then they come out with Watch Dogs 2 and they're like, oh, well, it's a disappointment. Why is it a disappointment? You took all the criticism that you got, all the feedback that you got, and you made a better game.
Mm-hmm.
A better game all across the board. But it didn't sell as well. And that's why they say it's a disappointment. But what they don't understand is that, like, the same people who weren't paying attention to the warning signs that Watch Dogs was not going to live up to expectations, bought the game and was like, oh, this ain't it, are the same people who weren't paying attention to all the changes that you made with the sequel, and they had already written the IP off, period. And I think that Watch Dogs had 3 games, Watch Dogs 1 and 2 and Legion. And 2 and Legion are far better than 1. But when people think, when you bring up Watch Dogs in a gaming conversation, people don't think about Watch Dogs 2 as a good game. People don't think about the innovative things they did with Watch Dogs Legions, where you're basically like running like this cell, this organization based off of regular citizens who just have random perks and skills and personalities and stuff, and just the way that whole system worked, which was innovative in itself, because no one else was doing any of that. People don't think about those things. What do they think about? They think about that first trailer and what they feel was the okie doke put on them. And you just can't shake that. You can't shake the narrative that gets ran off of your mistakes, regardless of, you know, how well your next games and the IP do. You know, it is what it is. Wow, JD Gamer.
Shout out to JD Gamer with the $2 super chat. Hey, Forte, flying through, just dropping support. Really appreciate you, bro. Definitely need to come to the store and come holler at me, man. Just have some fun. Also, JD Gamer with another $2 super chat. Pathetic pork begging ponies still got no games. Listen.
Wow.
Listen, JD, we got to keep it civil here, man. Sooner or later, they're going to get an announcement of a bunch of games coming out for first party. And then we ain't going to be able to talk. Because Xbox, you know, we ain't gonna talk about what Xbox is doing, but right now,
putting games on PlayStation,
right? But right now, bask in the glory of all of the love and support that you're getting, because right now you're winning. Because Xbox is, you know, they're actually releasing games, and we don't know what PlayStation is doing. But I'm just caution, because you know they're gonna come after you when they start releasing games. But I really appreciate you and all the super chats. I do want to say, Dr. Martin Von Norstand, he says, Yo Forte, see Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 new at GameStop is $19.99 for pro members. What? It is.
You just bought it.
Well, no, I already had it for PlayStation, so it doesn't matter. But it's only for PlayStation though. Why is it only $20 on PlayStation? Is the question. It's still $70 on Xbox.
That is.
I even went to the website to make it, because I've been off work the last 2 days, so I didn't even know that it was on sale for $20. The only thing I can think of is the fact that they have so many copies of the PlayStation version, because you know most stores do have more of that one than Xbox. So that's the only thing I can kind of think of. But it's real interesting, because I thought when he said $19.99, I said, well, shoot, I need to buy this on Xbox. Why, it's $20? Nope, it's $70 on Xbox. Like, good God. But I don't know. I don't know what the real reason for that is, and I don't know if that's a GameStop deal that's being run, or because most of the time when you get deals like that, they go to the publisher to see if they can like get a kickback on some type of deals like that by promoting their game a little bit more. I don't know if it's going to be that big of a kickback, but who knows how that actually worked itself out. But yeah, it's only PlayStation 5 only. It's not even the PlayStation 4 version. It's just PlayStation 5 for $20. So if you are a pro member and don't have Call of Duty by now and you have a PlayStation 5, there you go. You get a pretty cool game for, especially single player wise. We ain't talk about that multiplayer, but you know, single player wise, you get a pretty cool game for $20. It's only 4 hours though, if not less. But what go ahead.
I would say that campaign is so.
Did you beat it?
Yeah. I mean,
okay,
it wasn't much. That campaign is so disappointing. I don't even, if you're not into the multiplayer for Call of Duty, I don't even think it's worth $20 to you. If you're just a campaign dude, like I like to play COD's campaign. Nah, I don't even think it's worth 20. If you don't care about the multiplayer. Multiplayer is fire. It's good multiplayer.
Multiplayer is jacked, and Slow-Mo likes it so much, and I don't know why. You know what I just came to the realization of?
Here we go. What is it?
I feel the difference is I can sit here and say that Call of Duty is a decent enough game where I can see why people play it. But you like Call of Duty for all the reasons I hate Call of Duty, and you hate Destiny for all the reasons I love Destiny.
Wait, do you not like Call of Duty's movement?
Huh? No, I don't. It has nothing. I don't like the gunplay at all.
Really?
No, I don't. I don't like the gun. The gunplay is. This is the thing. To this day, I'm trying to listen. When I tell you, I feel
but
like
you said for all the reasons that I like it, you dislike it. Like one of the main reasons I like Call of Duty is I like the movement.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can't stand the movement in Destiny. You can't stand the gunplay in Destiny. But I love it. And you love the movement in Call of Duty and the gunplay in Call of Duty, and I hate it. It's like the complete opposite, because I still believe to this day that Destiny still is in the top, I'll say top 5 in overall gameplay when it comes to guns and everything else. I feel like Call of Duty has slipped, and maybe it's just the fact of what they do with the weapons. Like, I still can't get over that you get shot in the toe and you die in this game by a sniper.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I can't. That's something I can't wrap my mind around. It's like even in Battlefield, if I get sniped in Battlefield, even from close range, unless it's a 50 cal, 50 cals are one hit kills no matter what. But if you get shot with any other sniper other than in the head in Battlefield, you just take major damage unless it's a headshot. Call of Duty, they can just pump in, hit you, and it takes you out of the game. Like for me, it takes me out of the game, so it just makes me not like the game whenever it happens to me. Now, when we're playing on like little small maps like Meat or something like that, or Shipment, where it's right, Meat, where you're playing on smaller maps where, you know, some people still do it.
There's a lot of people that just play on Meat. So they play all day. It's Meat.
Yeah, because
they just grind in Meat.
The name of that map is so funny.
Yeah, to let people know that's the name of a map.
I just keep that.
I don't know if it's a permanent playlist or an occasional one, but it's you can just play Meat the whole time. You just play Meat,
right?
Or I think it may be a combination of like the smaller maps where it's all just quick twitch.
Well, yeah, and
gun shooting, like yeah.
But that was the thing though, because I always preferred Call of Duty. Like it was playing Call of Duty was fun because when you went into it, you knew that it's a fast-paced gun. It's a fast-paced game. It's like I could play Call of Duty and play Battlefield, enjoy both of them, because I knew when I played Call of Duty, I was playing a faster game, and but it still took skills to like win in that game. Now I just feel like skill goes out the window, because if long as you can run around with OP weapons and just shoot people with those weapons and just hit the body, you're going to win 90% of the time. It's disheartening. I mean, you know, and granted, I'll tell people this straight up. I'm just not good at it no more. I've never been good at Call of Duty when it comes to like the new way that you play it, when it comes to just mindless running around. Like, I mean, Slow-Mo, you do a really good job of doing it.
That's not how everyone plays it, though. And I'm not talking about the campers. Like, I know there are people who kind of feel like the best way to play COD is to kind of hold, depending on the map size, hold down an area. And so they'll move around a particular area. They're not specifically camping, but they are anyone that comes into a particular area of the map. They're gonna you know put their hands on them, and that's not like, if you understand, like, you know, the maps, you know, you see, you're looking at your map as you are playing. Like, I know when I play, and sometimes I forget to look at the map, and that's me. That's something I need to work on. But when you look at my gameplay, it may look like I'm just mindlessly running around, jumping and sliding and double sliding and then shooting people. But I'm hunting people down. I'm looking at the map. I'm looking at where my team is. And if you know, if we don't have a UAV up, I'm looking at where I don't see my team, and I know that's where the other team is, and I'm going after them. So true. It's just like I'm just being aggressive, and I can't sit around and like I just don't find it fun to just sit around in one particular area and just hold down an area or camp like that. So
yeah,
everyone plays it differently. It's just like for me, and I know this is now we're just like in a whole like non-topic thing, but it's fine.
That's because Watch Dogs. Who really cares about Watch Dogs anyway? But go ahead.
I like COD for the gunplay. I like the way the guns feel. But I think Modern Warfare 3 in particular, I really love the movement. And the movement the movement can really separate.
Oh yeah.
Skill levels. Like the better you get at the movement, the better you are at the game. And I think that this is one game where that's really important. In Halo, I'm even now with been playing Halo for decades. I'm still learning what to do in Halo and how to get better in playing Halo. And you know, I got a really good KD in Halo, and I'm not trying to tap. You know, like I'm not trying to like boost myself. I'm pretty good at Halo, but I know I'm not the best. And it's like you go up against people who you it's not cheating. They just legit bodied you, and they're just better. And you're like, dang.
But and
to your point,
Duty,
say what?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
I was like, to your point on something you had said, like either last week or the week earlier about recording your own gameplay. Sometimes I do that not to look at, to kind of like go into game film on myself, but to look at other people. Because I see someone do something that's like, I know it was legit, and it really just like they outmaneuvered me, they outsmarted me in a particular situation. Yeah, I'll record that max so I can look at it back again and be like, how did he pull that off? Or they, because who knows, could be a woman, right? But but it's just like those little things that you do that you really want to, like, if you really want to get better, you're going to do those kind of things to get better. And so
well, that's how you find out about the head glitches and stuff. You'll be like fighting somebody, like, how did they get? Then you be like, oh, that is a crazy head glitch right there. Let me stay away from that area.
Right. And this is like, you did that with Battlefield. You know, you were like, I want to get better at 2042. Now you got like a 5.0 KD or some crap like that. Some crazy
It's pretty stupid. It's pretty stupid. But it took a while to get there.
and yeah, and it's about understanding the game, understanding the maps, understanding how to be more effective member for your squad in Battlefield, and you nailed it. You got it down, and that's when you want to get better at a game. That's what you're going to do. Yeah, that's what you're you take it seriously instead of just be complaining about like everyone's cheating. Everyone's cheating, and
I don't say that.
That's a crutch for people, I think.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I never say you can definitely see the people that are cheating in Call of Duty.
Oh, absolutely. I just report them and keep it moving.
Yeah, just keep it moving. So is my thing with Call of Duty is not the fact that I don't like. I actually do like Call of Duty. I just I have a disdain for it right now. My biggest thing with that game is I know what tilt looks like for me. And when it's like I could be playing a game and be perfectly fine. And then the moment I get shot with a sniper and I look at that kill cam and that dude just runs around the corner and pulls that scope and goes in out. Half a second later, I'm dead. I'm like, yo, I'm on tilt. It's like, you instantly hit the tilt meter. In my mind, I'm done for the rest of this game. Cause at that point, I'm just like you, Slow-Mo. I be out trying to hunt people. Like I'll be hunting people and then all of a sudden that might happen to me. And then that's when you start pressing. Then I start noticing, cause like I watched my gameplay for Call of Duty. I said, what am I actually doing? And the one thing I noticed that I do in Call of Duty that I don't do in Destiny and I don't do in Battlefield is I chase kills. I chase after people around corners. I don't check, like I'll check corners parts of the game, but then if I get like that bull, that bull in a tiny cheese shop, just looking around, like I want to run through this room, ain't nobody gonna see me, and I don't be paying attention to my surroundings. Then I start dying a lot. Then that's when you go into this whole death streak of 5 or 6 deaths in a row, and then you just on tilt at that point. That's how it was. So
yeah,
it's fun though. I need to one day I just need to go in and just say stuff's gonna happen. And when it happens, push through. So that's pretty cool. That's cool, Gregor. I didn't know they announced that today. He said they announced a PvP mode that disable all abilities, straight gun mode. Oh wow, okay.
And I said that, like, I know y'all consider me a Destiny hater. I can be. I actually am very objective. People don't want to realize, but look, I think that's a great idea. When you have a game that's like when you have a game that's like Destiny, where there's so much of it there's so many abilities and there's the meta can be so strong towards particular types of weapons and particular kinds of guardians. Having a mode where it's just gun, it's just all gunplay. That's it. Like that's cool. Disable abilities, all guns, and that's I think that's something that they probably should have did a while ago, especially when they were having the drought on maps and new content for multiplayer. That's the way of just basically remixing what you already have. You don't even need to do anything differently besides. I mean, I'm not a developer. I can't speak on how hard that is to do, but that's creating renewed interest in a game without actually having to add new content to it. So I think that's awesome. Forsyth, did I lose you?
No, I'm here. I was just thinking about something. Yeah. Well, you got anything else you want to say about Watch Dogs and the depth of it? And I mean, honestly,
we were talking about that.
Yeah, we were talking about Watch Dogs. I don't want to. I was going to say Clizzy. Is that how you pronounce that?
Clizzy.
It's a super chat.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was setting that.
Clizzy of 420 with the $5. Clizzle. Oh, Clizzy would be with an I in it. Clizzle for a 420 with a $5 super chat. Thanks for the content. I'm gonna save this for the work tomorrow. Y'all need to do a Battlefield 2042 game night. I want to get on the field with y'all. Pause. Hey, yo, listen.
Hey, I'm down, man.
We down for Battlefield, man. I'm always down for some Battlefield, man. We need to get in.
Man, I'm not.
The one thing I will say, I'm kind of sad that they are not doing. This is the last season. Season 7 is the last one. So, because they are working on the next Battlefield, so it's a good chance that we won't see that one until maybe October, November of next year. So it's good to know that they are working on another one, which we already kind of knew, but to know that it's kind of that close to the point where they want to put all hands on deck when it comes to that one. Looking forward to it. But what do you oh yes, you're welcome. Slow-mo got you. Slow-mo always got your back. But when it comes to Watch Dogs, last thing, I thought it was a really cool franchise. I thought it had some really, really good ideas. I think it was kind of a change from the traditional norm of what people looked at when it came to open world games like that, because it was kind of inside of the Grand Theft Auto vein, but it, exchanged it for hacking and everything like that, and had some pretty decent story beats and stuff like that. And even in Legion, they had Aiden Pierce come back as as a DLC add-on story, so you kind of got a little bit more.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So, I saw some people thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So, but I just don't think enough people bought it. I think people liked it, but I think it fell victim to. It had that similarity to too many other games where people was like, yeah, I really don't want to play another game like that. And I also think a lot of people were, being cannibalized by games like Far Cry and Assassin's Creed. And those are, I don't like going from one big game to another. And Watch Dogs always came out around games like that. So it's like they either had a Far Cry that was coming out either right before or after it by 2 or 3 months later, and it was the same thing with Assassin's Creed. So, good idea. I just think that a lot of people got tired of just the media in general, and it just didn't, stand up like a lot of people thought it would over the generation.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. BlizzCon 2024 has been canceled, Slow-mo. Are you surprised?
Not really. With the changes in ownership of ABK, with the changes in who's running Blizzard, and with the cancellation of the survival game that they've been working on, I'm not shocked that they canceled BlizzCon. When you're Blizzard and you honestly don't put out a ton of content to begin with, it's just like, would you really, if you don't have anything to show that's ready to show, not saying they're not working on anything, but if you don't have anything ready to show, then of course she's not going to show anything. Right. So actually do a BlizzCon when there's actually content for people to get excited for.
Have they had a BlizzCon? When's the last time there was a BlizzCon? Now that I think about it, was it one last year?
They did do one last year. Yeah.
Okay, so that was I think that was like one of the first ones since the infamous "Are you serious?"
No, that was a few years ago. Is this an out of season April Fool's joke? Yeah, that was a while ago. But that
was right before that was before the pandemic. That was like, I think the year before.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So last year's BlizzCon, I think, was like one of the very first ones since then. Because I don't think they did one in 2022. I think that was the first one since then. So I just don't know. Well, it's not like some people are going to say Microsoft, owns it now. Why they can't flip the bill? I also think Microsoft is going to use their June showcase to show off a lot more stuff like that in general. Let me ask you this: when it comes to this, do you think the June showcase needs to be more than what they actually do now that they have so much more IP? Do you think it needs to be spread out across more than just the day to showcase all that stuff? Because it seems like you can show off a lot of content in an hour and a half or 2 hours, but they have so much content, especially now, with Activision, Blizzard, and all this other stuff, Do you think that one day is enough to show off that stuff?
No, it's not. One day's not enough. But I think what they could do with the Xbox Showcase, once they stop acquiring, right? Like, I don't think they're finished acquiring studios or publishers, but once they're done with that and they're actually just pushing content, I think they could use the Xbox Showcase as like their here is a taste of everything and a taste of what's coming in the future. But then leave the developer direct in January for an in-depth look at what's coming this year. Leave BlizzCon and maybe bring back Bethesda's own show to kind of go through in detail the things that these other arms that are now part of Microsoft Gaming are doing, and then but have the Xbox Showcase in June be focused on future. Like, all it is really about like what's showing you premiering announcements of brand new games that are coming, that kind of thing. Announcement of new hardware, showing off new hardware, that kind of stuff. Leave that for that showcase so that every time there is a new event that you're doing, people know what to expect. Kind of get everything into a cadence where at the Xbox Showcase in June, I know I'm going to see a taste of everything for Microsoft Gaming, whether it be hardware, content on all their different like publishing arms, Xbox Game Studios, ZeniMax Media, ABK, all of it. And then have those specific entities still have their own thing spread out throughout the year or whenever they're ready. Because when you have that much content, when you have over 30 studios combined, you should be able to allow your studios to just choose when these publishers to choose when they're ready, not simply like, oh look, we always gotta have something ready by August kind of deal. With all right, look, let's give it a little bit of time, and then we can come out when we have enough content to really go with. But I think that's the kind of cadence they can get into, but maybe not quite yet. Maybe in another year or two is when they'll be ready to start doing that, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I do not disagree with that. So, Microsoft had their earnings report today. You want
Right.
you want to know what the most interesting thing about that was?
Sure, tell me. I feel like I already know, but go ahead.
Gaming was up 51%, but devices, so all devices across Microsoft, and Microsoft don't have that many devices. They have like the Surface and they have the Xbox. So devices were down. What was devices down for the quarter, Slow-Mo?
31%.
31%. So gaming was up, but devices was down. Seems like a trend that Microsoft just hasn't turned around, and they're still telling people that they're valuing the console, especially when it comes to the next technological leap in gaming. You know, this is what Sarah Bond said, you know, shout out to Queen. But it doesn't seem like the needle is moving with consumers or gamers to purchase inside of the Xbox ecosystem, or maybe this is just by design of what Xbox wants. So what do you think of the latest numbers that come out of the investment earnings call for Microsoft?
We're seeing ABK carrying the entire Microsoft Gaming division more and more with this earnings than the previous one. We're seeing that the hardware is bottoming out, like it's getting worse, and that shouldn't be any surprise when you tell people you don't need an Xbox in your marketing and that's the message that you're giving to people. Then you know they'll take your word for it. When you tell people, when you give the implication that all your software is going to go to other rival platforms that are very similar to what you do, even though you may say we're only doing these games, as I said back in January, you just let one game go, and it's no different than all of them going, because you can't put that genie back in the bottle. You can't get people to not feel like, oh, this other game looks interesting. Maybe that will show up on PlayStation 2. Maybe that will show up on the Switch too. I'll just wait for that than spending $300, $400, $500 on a new piece of hardware that I may not really particularly care to have in order to play these games, to get into that ecosystem. And that's where it's at. Look, when it comes to brands, I've said it before that I think Microsoft don't really understand how to value brands. You look at Nintendo. Very recently this week, some information came out that I think let me properly source this. It's Jeff Grubb that said this. and to be clear, because I see Dorian Gray doing the same thing that he does every week in the chat, where he creates straw man arguments and can't back them up with anything that we're actually saying. We are not saying the console is the end all be all. Neither one of us said that. So you could probably not continue to create narratives that aren't being said, Dorian. Appreciate you. When it comes to Nintendo and how Nintendo values brands, Nintendo was approached by Epic to get Samus from Metroid into Fortnite. And Nintendo said no, because they did not want, because you know how there's cross progression for your account in Fortnite. So even if you just buy in the way this works and the way Epic has always done it with Fortnite, and ever since they've been able to get crossplay and cross progression being standard, is if you buy a particular skin on whichever platform you bought it on, it's available to you on all the other platforms. Nintendo doesn't want gamers being able to play with any of their intellectual properties on another platform. They're that protective of their brand, because they want, when you think of, I'm going to play Mario, that you're playing Mario on a Nintendo device. That's what they want. And so it's a very different philosophy. And when you have different philosophies and you promote those philosophies, then that's what's going to show in the financial numbers. Microsoft has a different approach, especially more so now that they've acquired ABK. And their approach is, we want as many gamers playing our games as possible. And if that is to the detriment of the hardware that we make, then so be it.
Right.
And they're still going to make hardware. Like, this stuff isn't, I think it even came out today that they said to anticipate hardware being down again next quarter as well. They now understand. There's been a shift in the thinking from what Amy Hood initially said, where Amy Hood was like, is the hardware being down was disappointing. And that was like, it was down 3%, I believe. Mm-hmm. I think it was only up 3% the last financials, when they had basically had both the Xbox Series X and S being $150 off for a significant portion of the holiday season. Yep. And that's like, yeah, you were up, but you had to move units. You severely discounted your hardware, which is not what you're going to do all the time. And so to see this down now, and to see that people aren't buying the hardware, but content's up due to ABK, it kind of puts them in a situation where, and I think that this kind of puts Matt Booty on the hot seat as well, that going into next year, this is all these numbers are based off of year-over-year growth, right?
Right.
And so the 60% whatever average of content and services is with the addition of ABK here now, when ABK was not a part of your financials this time last year. Going into 2025, you're going to still have ABK be a part of your financials, but they're a part of them now. So you need, what's going to be the growth a year from now? Are you going to be able to kind of turn things around where you're not so reliant on the ABK division to generate revenue in software, generate revenue in services, to hopefully push hardware? But I think they kind of see where that's going. Where's going to be the growth coming from there? Because if it's not changing your current like way things are going, the financials for next year aren't going to look pretty.
Right.
And so these are the things that, you're going to start looking at overall. Their hardware, I've always assumed that when they start the next generation of hardware for Xbox, that there's going to be this Xbox handheld they're working on, and they have alluded to, and we all know it's coming. That's more of a PC device, but it's going to have like a, it's going to, for a console gamer, it's going to feel like you're not on a PC. Right. But I always assumed they would still have a traditional console as well. Like the way you had an option between a Series S and a Series X this generation, you have an option between a Xbox handheld and a traditional console. I do wonder, as the time goes on, if they start to look at plans for a traditional console and saying, is the juice worth the squeeze here? We're all in on this Xbox handheld, and I do believe when Sarah Bond was talking about the biggest technological leap, I believe she was talking specifically about that, about what that would provide. I don't think she was really talking about the traditional console, if there is one coming. And I think like the longer this kind of goes, where there isn't any reversal of fortune when it comes to the hardware, that's going to be more the case. That when all these people in leadership sit down, when the board of directors of Microsoft sit down and they're talking with the leaders in Microsoft gaming, it's harder to justify continuing to go to that well when all the data is saying we're just wasting our time here. And so my opinion is, I'm not saying it's a fact, it's just what my opinion is that people are going, that they are going to just go in on the Xbox handheld.
Mm-hmm.
And if you, and they're gonna push like their Xbox OS ecosystem towards other manufacturers of like PC handhelds as well, so that it's not just their handheld that is the all-in be all, that you could get different flavors of that. They're going to get deeper into PC in general and working with other PC storefronts to kind of like spread their wings more on the PC platform. And they're done with trying to promote Xbox's brand and promote the traditional hardware in the console market. Like, you're going to see all their games on devices, even console devices that can run it.
Right.
Gears. Yeah. Gears on a PlayStation. Get used to that idea before it becomes a reality. Because that's, for them, that's their future. They're never getting out of gaming, right? So I know there are people who kind of feel like they're like fanboys. This is weird. Who just like hate Xbox so much and hate Microsoft so much they want them out of gaming. Like, that ship has sailed. You're never getting that. They will always be attached to gaming, whether there is an actual Xbox hardware that you can hook up to a TV or a monitor or not. But how that looks 5 years from now might look very different than how it looks right now.
Yeah, that's some really good points. I do think that for the most part, Xbox is in a situation where, I mean, at this point they kind of know what they're doing, what they need to do. It just ultimately comes back to it's not what the gamers, especially Xbox gamers, want them to do. Like, they made the decision a long time ago to basically tell people like, hey, you know, we're not getting the support on a platform. We need to bring these games to other medians, other people that can get a chance to enjoy and try these games out or play these games in general. Um, they see the revenue that they're receiving from something like ABK, seeing that all of that revenue is basically just astronomically, like you said, holding up what's going on with Xbox in general. So I just kind of look back at it like, what is the next step for them? What is the ultimate decision that needs to be made compared to, like, is Xbox going to, what's the next game that they're going to bring to the platform? Like, we see that Sea of Thieves is already one of the, in the top 5 or top 10 games sold or pre-ordered on the PlayStation brand as of right now. How is that going to manifest itself over the course of an entire generation? Is it just something that's happening right now? Or is it going to be something that's going to happen in the future? Is Xbox going to have compelling games to keep that narrative and keep people excited to want to be a part of that scenario in the future? I think those are all questions that need to be asked by Xbox. But like you said, they're not going to get out of the hardware. The hardware is still going to be something that they're super invested in until they see nobody buying it anymore. And that's where the divide is really going to come from for a lot of people. Like, are they going to move the needle forward when it comes to hardware, when it comes to, compute? Talk about, for a long time, Xbox didn't want to be a console that wasn't the most powerful. They didn't want to be a console that wasn't at the tip of the spear when it comes to just overall abilities and stuff like that. A lot of that seems to have changed. You don't hear them talk about power no more. You don't hear them talk about the overall ability of what the system can do anymore. So what's changed? Is it that his Xbox changed, or is it Microsoft that changed? Is it the fact that Microsoft putting down the latest in $70 billion to acquire ABK? Has that changed the math? Because, the math is basically saying that Xbox hasn't been doing well when it comes to like selling of their own games for quite some time now. Especially, that's why they pivoted. And people always talk about, well, the games do sell. I say, yeah, they do sell, but the reason they made Game Pass is because the games weren't selling at first. They had to find another way to entice their own player base to like support their games. So not only until they came out with Xbox Game Pass did people start really, really seeing the value. And if you want to go back even further, that's why they started putting games on PC before even then. It seemed like Xbox been trying to find a way, or Microsoft been trying to find a way to get people to want to buy games on their platform for over a decade at this point. But they also got to look themselves in the mirror, because they kind of started doing this to themselves back in 2011, where they started shuttering first-party studios, closing Lionhead Studios, letting a lot of other, shutting down other studios in general, not having but 4 first-party studios going to 2020 or 2014, 2015. I remember Shannon Loftus coming out talking about with the PC initiative, where they don't see as much crossover from PC as people think. Compared to now, Game Pass subscription numbers were up significantly more on PC, meaning more people are playing games or contributing to the Xbox ecosystem on a PC than people are on a console. So a lot of math has kind of changed over the course of the generation. It still doesn't change the fact that I think Microsoft's in a better place, because I feel like they are in a Slow-mo feels like this is the end of, you're basically devaluing a console to an extent. And I don't disagree with that. But I also think that Xbox has to make a move that is more of a more into the competencies that they like to lead into. I mean, this is a software company based in services. So it doesn't surprise me. Yes, Call of Duty is a major part of that, but it won't surprise me over the course of the next 6 to 8 months, within the next 24 months, that people really look at Xbox as more than just what Call of Duty is. They start having a lot of games that people really want to play, especially if they start leaning into the quality side of their games and stuff, and the fact that they don't have hard deadlines because they have a console that they have to meet these expectations for people to feel like that they're getting the bang for their buck when it comes to that. I think they're greasing the wheel to basically tell Xbox gamers that you will get games, but you just won't be the only one to get them. And if you're not the only one getting them, then it probably feels like you're willing to wait for those games to come, because at that point you're buying an Xbox just because you prefer the Xbox ecosystem, you prefer Xbox Game Pass, you prefer your friends, or maybe you already have a digital library on Xbox. They're kind of leaning into that, other than telling you that this is the best place to play the games that you're playing. That may become a scenario at a later date, but I kind of think they let that one wash away with the current. They're all about putting their games in as many places as they can, impacting the bottom line of whatever metric they have inside of Microsoft when it comes to like their KPIs and everything, and winning that way. Because we always talk about Xbox isn't competing, or Microsoft isn't competing in gaming. Well, this is their way of them competing. And I think when Satya Nadella came out and said, let's compete, I don't think he meant let's compete in the way that we competed before. I think he meant let's compete in a completely new way that nobody else could compete with us, unless they find a way to try to copy the narrative that we have as of right now. And you're starting to see that a little bit based on some of the rumors and leaks that's come out from Sony. They're not completely following the narrative that Xbox has put out there, but when you start seeing, UI changes and trophy support coming over to the PC, and you start seeing all these other little red flags, shout out to a lot of the content creators like for the PlayStation side, but they're talking about this stuff because it's kind of the harbinger of a future that a lot of people never thought would come for PlayStation. Because the one thing that everybody always talked about is, what is the reason you buy a PlayStation? You buy it for those experiences of having trophies and the single player experience and the games coming and being made on that system first, and you having the ability to, basically be treated like a first class citizen. But now,
I mean, I think that's the hardcore reason.
yeah,
That's the hardcore reason why hardcore gamers, because we know why the console, the casual gamer buys a PlayStation. It's because it's popular.
It's popular,
and that's it. Because when you look at like the top played games on PlayStation, there are games that are available on an Xbox. A lot of them are available on a Switch, on PC, on mobile, cloud gaming.
Yeah,
they're available everywhere. But why are they the top play games on PlayStation? Because the PlayStation. I mean, why is the PlayStation selling? Close to PS4 levels or better or on par? Because it's popular. It's a popular brand. And look, I know this is anecdotal, but my son hit me, a little while ago. Was like, Dad, I want a PS5. I was like, oh, really?
Right.
Never showed any interest before. Well, I'm thinking, all right, so this must be a specific game that you want to play, but I don't know what that could be, considering I built you a PC and you play games on your PC and you have access to PlayStation first party games on this said PC because you're game sharing with me on Steam, but you don't play those games. And when I asked them, so why do you want a PS5? And he was just like, oh, just because my friends at school have them. I was like, oh, so to play what games? I don't know. And it's I'm like,
He's like,
this kid's 14. This kid's 14. He just wants a PS5 to stare at or something. I don't know. But like, I mean, like what he would end up playing, he plays Roblox and Fortnite. He plays Roblox whether he's with friends or not. He plays Fortnite with his friends. Mm-hmm. These are 2 games that he can play on his PC right now. And he, even if they're on PlayStation, he can still play with them because there's cross-play enabled on both. So it's just like, if this is the rationale for a lot of the, my son's definitely a casual. Like my daughter is a more hardcore gamer than he is, and she's 8. But like, if that's the rationale, then yeah, of course Sony's out here trying to throw a bunch of live service games at the wall so they can get a bigger piece, a bigger percentage of these top played games that everyone's playing. They're like, or nearly a decade old now. Of course, they are enjoying the fruits of like their hardware selling, but at the same time realizing that's not enough and they gotta go to other platforms. But to a degree, because they're not doing what Xbox is doing, but they're also not doing what Nintendo is doing. And Nintendo has the best return on investment, the better margins. But Nintendo Switches have been selling at profit since 2017. They never at any point, and never at any point has Nintendo sold the Nintendo Switch at a loss.
They never compromised on price.
Yeah, and they even gave up the chance to have a better Tegra chip from NVIDIA in order to make sure that at launch they was making a profit on every single unit sold. And have they dropped the MSRP on any of these things? Absolutely not. and you can do that when you have goals and you're reaching those goals. Then you just continue to keep the ball rolling and saying, hey, it's business as usual. Clearly Sony wants more for what they're getting, and they're happy for sales, even though they missed last year's like hardware targets. They didn't miss it by much, but they missed it, right? They're still happy for where they're at. They just want more. And why do they want more? Because they got investors that care about year-over-year growth. Some of the same things that we're talking about today about Microsoft's earnings, Sony is talking about too. And when Hiroki Totoki's out here talking about them being more aggressive on PC, it's because you can it is strictly because that those margins aren't where their investors want it to be. And they look at the console market and they're saying, without us having the most sold game on the platform, without us making the most sold game on the platform, on our own platform, without us making the most played games on our platform, we need to get our games sold and played in other places. And I think they understand now. Well, I think a lot of PlayStation gamers starting to come to the realization to it is that the PC market is not competition. It's a different market. It's a different segment of the market. The gamers on PC don't behave the way console gamers behave. And so you're not convincing a large portion of them to come over and buy a PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see the value in spending $400 on a PS5. If the choice came down to it, they would upgrade. They'll take that $400 to upgrade their PC before they buy a closed system. And so that's the mentality of the customers that you're trying to entice to play your games. You're going to be more aggressive in putting your games over there, which means getting the cadence of your games out there quicker, getting more games out there on that platform and doing things like creating PlayStation UIs for your games on there to kind of help along and make the experience feel more like a PlayStation and make it easier for PC gamers to link up with PlayStation gamers and play things like Ghost of Tsushima Legends.
Mm-hmm.
This is like, that's the way Sony is moving, which for all this stuff, we'll see how it works out. I mean, I think to go back to Microsoft, yeah, the Xbox hardware is going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. That doesn't mean that Xbox, like Microsoft gaming is doomed. But that hardware, like there are people who are doing this coping mechanism thing where they're just like, well, it's not important. How is it? Why would you sell a product that you don't deem important? Why are you wasting your money making a product that you don't deem as important?
True.
That's counter intuitive, period. Like, if you don't think it's important, why do you even make this thing? And if you're going to make it, actually value the product. I don't know if they still do, but it doesn't for the consumer. The consumer clearly, by the way the numbers go, feel like, yeah, we don't really value this product either.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's true.
Yeah. Hopefully their game plan with this Xbox handheld is far more solid than their plan was with the Xbox Series consoles. But we'll see. Gotta see,
Yeah, I mean, in general, that's ultimately what we hope for. We just hope for
and
that.
I just want to say this real quick in the chat. Brandy says, I think you can't equate all PC gamers to PCMR any more than you can equate Xbox to Xbox fans or ponies to PlayStation fans. I agree with that 100%. I don't know if he was saying that directly to some of the conversation going on in the chat, but if you think about it, and we see console gamers bring this stuff up whenever it comes to like discussing power, and I don't know if you were a console gamer and you're trying to compare power to PC gaming. I don't know if you used to lick the window of the bus when you used to drive when they used to go to school, but you need to cut it out. Because at no point will you ever win that argument. You never have the power. And it doesn't matter if the average PC gamer has a 1060 or a 3060, and you feel like the PS5 is more powerful than the average PC gamer's rig. That's not more powerful than the rig of the person that you're talking to, stupid. And the person that you're talking to has a more powerful piece of hardware than your hardware. And yes, they spent more on it. They know that. You don't need to remind them they spent more. That means their money in their wallet. They know what they spent on their PC. And they did that intentionally because they wanted more power. A premium performance requires a premium cost. And the PlayStation 5 or any console hardware is not a premium cost. But the difference here is that when you look at the average of the GPUs and the CPUs and the average resolution, the highest average resolution deployed by PC gaming, you see is 1080p. It's because we're the most played games on PC. They're old games that can be played on potatoes.
True.
And if all you play is World of Warcraft, if all you play is Valorant or Apex Legends or any CSGO, any game that can be ran on anything, freaking Intel integrated graphics, then why do you need a 4080? You don't. So you're not going to buy one.
True.
And you're still going to be playing games at far higher frame rates, the games that you want to play, than console gamers will. And if you ever decide, I want to play God of War, well, my PC is not going to be able to handle that. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to upgrade or build a new PC.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have that freedom, and that's what PC gaming is about. That's the one thing that PC gamers value more than anything else. Whether you are a guy that only plays League of Legends, and you've been running a 1080 Ti for the past 7 years, or you're a guy that upgrades your GPU every time there's a new NVIDIA generation that launches, and you get the top GPU every single time, the freedom to choose how you game and how and that is why you're a PC gamer. Anywho, are
That's
you
true. I'm ready
ready to do
whenever
this,
you.
man?
I'm ready whenever you are, homie.
Let me whoa, what was I looking at? Okay, hold up. Let me get everything going.
Yeah, this is where we transition over to the DPS podcast channel, everybody, and it's going to be a great time. We really appreciate everybody for coming through and hanging out with us tonight. It's going to be another great time, and I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation that me and Slomo brought you so far. And no console hate, just just conversations and talking points. That's about it. But Slomo,
Yep, it's all set to go. So just go ahead and
I am looking for it now.
and I'm gonna put the link in the chat for those who are doing the replay and want to know what the heck is going on and where the podcast is going. We are going to the DPS channel. The link is in the chat now. So if you want to manually switch over or wait for the redirect to take you, that is all fine.
That is okie dokie with us. But there it is. Customize, redirect, search videos. And there it is.
That's funny. Gregor says, "Why is the audio better here?" I don't know, Gregor. I don't know. It must have something to do with the host.
You don't know what he's talking about, honestly.
But good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. Are you ready to discuss this, man?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, so last topic of the night, we're going to be discussing Stellar Blaze review.